Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks, where we tell the history and stories of locations, places, and people that make up the area. Here's Matt. I think this time they're cheering for you. The thousands and thousands.
Thank you, everybody.
Thousands
Thank you,
and
everybody.
Yes.
Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks, where we tell the history and stories of locations, places, and people that make up the Ozarks.
I feel like I just said that, maybe.
That's something that I wanted to reiterate because, I've even had some people be like, what are you guys doing on this show? And I'm like, well, I thought it was pretty self-explanatory with the name.
It's the title.
The Ozarks.
Yeah.
But we're getting ready to come out with some other stuff that's going to be more of the exploring type. What we're doing right now with this podcast is we are exploring the people that also are attached to some places that I know I'm attached to. I mean, today we're with Johan Collins, and he is a music promoter with a big distinction of helping the Outland Ballroom in its transition lately in the last few years. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Thanks for being here, Johan, first of all. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And David, if you want to hit him with a little Patreon real quick.
Sure, yeah. So we're here at Springfield Studio One. Yay. And then Patreon is for if you aren't a business and you want to donate smaller amounts every month, like $5, $15, $25. We have a Patreon page, which we're going to make a commercial about soon, so kind of tell you where it's at, how to get in there. We already have a couple Patreon supporters, which I'm sure that name's popping up as I'm talking right now.
Good.
Probably about right here.
Needs to be.
Yeah, whoever's editing this right here.
A lot of podcasts have, almost every single one of them has a Patreon link, and that's
some sort of support. And YouTube, there's actually a lot of different ways to do this, but we use Patreon right now, and we'll probably expand out more in the future. But it's a way for, if you want to help us with our mission of exploring the Ozarks, because what we do isn't free. We have to pay for gas, we have to pay for editors, we have to pay for...
Well, and what we're about to do is going to be more costly, too.
Yes.
Now it's just really driving into.
But we don't want to have any sort of guest pay us to be on here at all. We're not trying to do stuff like that. We're trying to tell the stories of the Ozarks and get that out there. So Patreon's a great way to get your voice heard because patrons have their own page and you can give us input of like what we should be exploring, who we should be talking to. Yeah. If you liked our last episode, if you think Matt should cut his hair, or if I should cut my hair, stuff like that. So please be a Patreon member and help us explore the Ozarks.
All right. Well, that pretty much sums it up. But we're at Springfield Studio One. It's a studio. It's a classroom. It's a podcast right all over the room you're seeing right now.
Johan actually came here today to look at the studio.
Oh, very good.
And then I roped him into doing the podcast, too. I was like, hey, while you're here.
Joke's on you, man.
2 for 1.
Yeah, there we go. There you go. That's a good positive spin on it. So, Johan Collins, this is something that I really find is remarkable about the Springfield area. Is the music scene that we have and the potential for more of a music scene. I think it really sank into me when I was like 16 years old. The first concert I went to was at the Juke Joint, and that was Incubus when they first came out. And their Science album was amazing. Sick. And there was maybe like 50 people there. And I was like, dude, I got this whole place to myself. And they were amazing. That was when it kind of slapped me in the forehead that Springfield is just kind of like a stopover for a lot of bands where they're kind of in between St. Louis and Texas or something like that, or Oklahoma even now. And they just kind of say, yeah, we'll do a show. We'll just throw it in there on their way. And
we had Jeff and Joy Steele from the Galois here a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about how a lot of people love like the Galois in the small room. Yeah. Because it's really ornate and fun to sing in and stuff like that. Yeah. But a lot of bigger artists like to go there. So, along the lines of, like, they just like to stop here and perform because
it's never like a huge band or anything like that. And I bring up Gary Clark Jr. because whenever he came to the Galois last year, it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
That was a good show.
I tell people about Gary Clark Jr., like, who? And I'm like, God, man, he won Grammys and all sorts of stuff. And he's amazing.
That's me. I'm still like, who?
Yeah.
I need to go look him up, apparently. You've mentioned him several times.
He's amazing. But I was this close to meeting him, but I was respecting his time away from the stage.
Yeah. And did you get to meet him, Johan?
No, I did not.
No, he didn't.
Dude,
okay.
Let's talk about who you have met.
Oh, God.
All right. So you've been involved pretty heavily with the Outland Ballroom, which if you've been in the Springfield music scene or been to any shows, this is one of those venues that is considered a hole in the wall, but it's an iconic venue for Springfield. You've got to go up that dark flight of stairs to get there. You get to a bigger, darker room, and it's an amazing acoustic room, though. But, there's some staples like Andy Frasco in the UN. Shout out to them. Sean Eccles, who's a local who is now touring worldwide with them, and they
wow,
dude, they're huge. They play every year in Macau, China for New Year's, and it's big, huge party, and people love them overseas too. But they found Sean on their way through town, and they needed a guitarist, and Sean was a good fit because he's a rock star. So
shout out Sean.
Shout out to Sean. He's been through it, man. He lived the lifestyle of an artist for a long time and played in Speakeasy in Springfield, and finally got that opportunity, which is huge because he's an amazing artist. But as far as music promotion in Springfield, it's something I always thought I wanted to do if I had extra time. But
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's a labor of love, And then we hear, Jeff Steele over at the Galois, and how he talks about how he has to go out and recruit these people and try to call these, music producers and music people in general, just to try to get a hookup, to try to get somebody to come to Springfield. And they're like, what? Where? Which Springfield is this? Yeah. Missouri?
We're a D market at best.
Okay, explain that.
It's just what it is.
Types of markets. What are they?
It took me a long time to figure that out, but I was like, why are these agents not responding to me or anything?
Yeah.
Well, St. Louis and Kansas City are B markets. They're not A markets.
Interesting.
Chicago's an A market. New York's an A market.
Right. So is it based off population or just on the music scene that's there? People that actually go watch shows.
Yeah, just like population.
Venues available.
LA, obviously, Phoenix might be.
Yeah.
Just these, you could just see the big shows that Justin Bieber won't come here.
Right.
Sure.
Because there's not enough seats.
They're not going to sell out of 50,000, tickets to go to his shows.
What did they call that? The Great Southern Arena now instead of John Q. Hammond's Arena. What is that? A 16,000 seat venue? I want to say.
It's nice.
Which is still kind of small though, considering you think about some of the bigger markets where they have these 100,000 seat stadiums.
Well, but even when I went to go see. So to put it in perspective, I went to go see Arcade Fire in Chicago in October, November of last year, and it was at the United Center, which is where the Bulls play. Mm-hmm. That's a new United Center, because when I went there last time, that place was massive, and you could fit all sorts of bodies in that place. I mean, I think it was 20,000 seats, and now it's, I think, less than 10,000 seats, and it's more skyboxes than it is seating for people. But I was blown away because I'm like, well, Arcade Fire is one of the biggest bands in the world, but they sell out this arena, and I'm sitting here looking around, and I'm like, it almost seems like John Q. Hammond's fits more people, just because the layout of it. But when you're talking Springfield, besides John Q. Hammond's or Juanita K., which Juanita K. is more...
It's fine arts.
Yeah, it's
fine a theater
arts.
Stage. Yeah.
So you're talking more off-Broadway stuff.
She has some really good shows going through there recently.
They always do.
Hamilton
was just
that was
there.
here.
But then you start talking about John Q. Hammond's, and it's got some pretty decent seats, so you get some pretty good sized bands.
Yeah.
But then
2016 presidential election, Bernie Sanders actually came through.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I actually stood outside for a couple hours just because you don't have that happen very often. You don't get a presidential candidate running through, so I was out there for a couple hours waiting for that.
Okay.
Didn't make it in because it was full.
Oh, okay.
And then he came out on the side patio actually, and to the crowd of us that was still outside, and he actually gave us a brief 10-minute stump.
Oh gosh,
5-10 stump speech.
Man.
I just remember seeing the Secret Service people. Yeah, they're in front of him and just kind of staring at the crowd. And I was I would not want to mess with any of those people.
And that's kind of a thing too with artists is sometimes they get big enough they need security. But when we're talking places that are down to, let's just call it the nitty gritty of bands that are up and coming, they want to play at these small venues no matter who shows up. So I mean, as far as, let's talk about bands real quick. So the Outland's got so many people that have been through that. How long have you been involved in this? Let's start there.
Are we still talking about A, B, and C?
Yeah, let's talk about A, B, C markets.
Okay, so real quick, Kansas City's B.
Right.
St. Louis is B. Columbia is a C.
Okay.
That puts we're not as big as Columbia.
Really?
We just don't have a venue like that. I mean, the Galois is cool, but it's not like the Blue Note. It's just not. Just look at the shows. I think a lot to do with it is a wet campus. And you don't think about these things, but it's a real thing. Like Fayetteville is half the size of us, and they are way more popping because they're a wet campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that send their kids to school are very conservative and really, really don't want their kids to party. Mm-hmm. It's just a real thing.
Right.
It's like
it's avoidable.
Well, the college kid thing is a huge thing because they're the ones with expendable time and money.
You go to MSU.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? Oh, MSU.
And they're going to be the first ones to talk about it.
Facts. Yeah. And so it makes a huge difference. Like I have a friend that runs George's.
Oh, I love George's.
George's a cool
Majestic,
spot.
man.
And they get shows that we just never get.
Dude, last time I was down there was J. Roddy Walston in the Business.
Oh, wow.
And the Inglorious Bastards was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Incredible.
Tiny little venue, though. I mean, Big Smith, who's from this area, they used to play down there every single New Year's Eve, and I used to go down there all the time with them. They're great. Great venue, though.
Yeah, so that just makes us a D market.
But that's crazy. That's such a tiny little.
So how do you work around that then? I mean, what do you do?
You got to outsmart them like a game of chess. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Right.
It's like literally like a game of chess. So the way that I even got, I mean, to answer your question, I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Wow.
It became like a thing that I just started.
How'd you get into it? Yeah.
So I moved up here in 2000.
From?
New Orleans.
No.
Born and raised in New Orleans. They had everything I wanted. I didn't need to do shows. I never even thought about doing shows. It's like, bro, everything's
Do you have an accent from down there? Like, did you have to like?
I had to learn how to talk, or I couldn't make money.
Can you give us some like actual New Orleans?
He's a Cajun.
Just say something like.
Well, he said New Orleans.
Like when I talk to my family, it really kicks in quickly. It's like
keep up.
Me shy me. Like whatever, like that. It's like whatever. Anyway.
It's hard to have somebody ask you
on
to
the spot.
bring in that the accent. Yeah,
that's like asking Corey Kayes, who's an actor, to cry on.
Or me to make a video right away.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no. Anyway, it's just one of those things that like I moved here and there was nothing that I wanted to see or do.
Yeah.
If you think about South Street in 2000, so the Juke Joint was happening.
Yeah, but that was about it. And the Outland almost.
The Juke Joint was happening. The Outland was happening.
The Regency had just left. Yeah, the Regency was done.
I had just moved here.
Oh, I bet you were longing for stuff.
I was big into the DJ world.
Oh,
I was way big into the DJ world.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we started doing. I don't know. I would. There was just nothing I wanted to do. Like literally nothing I wanted to do. And so I just started bringing my friends from Louisiana here to house parties.
Okay.
And then those house parties became like so big that I was like, do you guys remember how long you guys been here for a while?
My whole life, man.
Well, I just read an article in the newspaper. They're talking about house parties, like how big that they were, and how big they still
back
are.
in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah. Crazy. So we started. You remember the Riff?
Oh yeah.
So we were doing this house party and I went to pick up my friend at the Riff in 2002, 2003, right when it was closing.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I knew the bartender, and he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I was like, "We're planning for this house party." He's like, "Why don't you do it here?" And so he's like, "That makes sense." And so we just like moved the house party to the Riff.
Oh,
that's cool.
And it was crazy. It was like 400, 500 people there. And it just became like a thing, like, oh, we're going to do this once a month. Okay. And so we just started doing like.
So is that you doing the DJ work?
Yeah,
and then
no, I just booked the show.
You're just booking shows?
Yeah, I just book same as I do now.
So who did you book in those days?
So I booked people that I knew from Louisiana.
Right, so bands that would come up. So any examples
DJs,
of anybody we know?
You wouldn't know any of these people.
Okay.
Did you know anybody from around here that could play at that time, or built over time?
There was one place that was doing electronic music, and it was where Lindbergh's at now.
Yeah.
It was called After Hours.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Jason Gomez.
Yeah.
He was doing it, and I met some DJs there.
Very good.
And so I partnered up the DJs with that, and it just became like a thing. We rented out the Oasis Convention Center like, I don't know, a year later.
Huh.
And I actually convinced them to do a rave. They had when I'm saying,
well, back in those days, the raves were in like
you couldn't do them.
You couldn't do them, right? Springfield, I went to a couple, maybe mid.
I want to say it's still kind of taboo here.
Joe Biden had just passed in '99. He just passed the crack house law, which was if anybody got caught with any kind of substance at your venue, you were responsible for it.
Oh gosh.
The promoter was everyone stopped doing it.
That's because of raves, though. I think.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Yo, you can't have raves." And so, all right, I was like, we're gonna do an art show.
There you go.
So I don't think I've ever even said this on air anywhere.
It's okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah, time's gone by.
Whatever. So I got like the MSU art department, all their art students. They all display their art. I got Scion dealership. Scott at Scion. He's still there now. To this day, he's like a big thing there now. But he got all his cars, and we did a car show and an art show, but a rave.
Oh my god!
But a rave, man. That was the last one we did there. It was like 1,000 people that showed up.
Holy smokes!
It was absolutely
That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah,
it's a good turnout.
It was called Terminal Groove 1,
And where did you guys hold that?
That was at the Oasis Convention Center when it first opened up. It was just that's how you have to do things around here. You just have to be like, hey, it's just a art show.
And then it turned into a party.
Party. We're going till 3.
I was gonna say, what time did it get over?
Take out the alcohol. We're going to. Why do you want to go till 3? We're going till 3.
We're not done.
We're not done. And that became
awesome.
One thing to another, and then I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of like. I don't even know how to say this without sounding like a crazy human.
Say it.
But yeah, so I'm tired of like supplying a place for people only just to get messed up at.
Yeah.
Because I don't get messed up or anything. I don't care whatever you do, it's fine.
But you're there.
But people
music.
are just really messed up, and I was just like, man, I'm getting. I was thinking I was like 23, 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I'm not trying to do this.
Wow.
And so I transferred it to. I wanted to do it in the venue.
Right.
So I went to Matt Netzer at the Outland, and we had kind of came up with this concept, this idea of taking the DJ world and mixing it with the band world.
All right.
Which is really hard because
two different
back
worlds.
Then they didn't mix.
Yeah.
They did not. To the point where I went up to Matt Netzer, and I was like, "Hey Matt," at the Outland. I was like, Outland downstairs. I was like, "Hey Matt, we have this idea. We've been doing these raves, these DJ things,
and they're going well.
They're going crazy well. We own a warehouse, the underground. That was all me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that was you.
Any electronic thing you ever been to?
That was the place I was trying to remember where I used to.
Dog Factory.
Yeah,
that was all me.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was all me. Right,
yeah.
that was
very good turnouts to those. Though.
Yeah,
nobody can put those on very well, man.
No, that was insane.
That was. Yeah.
But so like. I was like, I'm tired of doing that. It's time to really do something different. Mix the rock scene because we had a good indie rock scene kind of.
Well, a lot of bands.
Sort of, a lot of bands back then. You had like Falcon Punch.
Yeah.
You remember those? That band? Faderton.
That was a lot of underground
Someone Still Loves You, Boris Shelton.
Oh, they were awesome.
That was all those bands that were happening, and I was like, man, there's some of this like house music that can really like mix into that. Like we can really make that a thing. And we told Matt, we had this whole concept for Matt, and Matt was like, no DJs playing here. It's only live music. That was a real thing that happened. I was like, respect, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Thanks for having criteria.
That's dumb.
But DJs, you got to have respect for what they do,
That's dumb.
Man. I mean, they're taking other songs and they're mixing it, but it ain't easy.
So I went to Nathan P's.
All right, Nathan P.
And
Murphy's.
We blew it out. We found, back then it was really hard because it was MySpace. There was no Spotify. The only thing you had was like,
and this is before
LimeWire,
MySpace was like it wasn't a Facebook thing either.
Yeah,
it was just music.
LimeWire, man.
Yeah. Napster. Yeah, I remember all that.
That's kind of.
I feel like we're finally getting to the era that I remember,
dude. But this was like an explosion of music at the time.
It was hard to. Hard to find a band that fit that criteria.
Yeah.
Back then, now I can find a million in here in Springfield just by dance bands. Yeah. And boom, we have a whole list from here to Texas.
Yeah.
And back then it was way different. Oh, wow, I sound old.
Right.
And so we did that Nathan P's, blew it out, sold out the venue. It was really
Nathan
cool.
P's.
They had a problem with it. I don't know, whatever. They didn't like the party as hard. Oh. So we had to find another spot.
Gosh, man.
So we moved to Mixology.
Remember
that spot?
I haven't heard that in a while, man.
So we moved to Mixology every Friday at Mixology, and we sold it out every single Friday.
Dang, man.
We brought bands in. It got bigger. I started doing South by Southwest.
That's
how I got to where I am now. That's
a big name, dude.
So we went to South by Southwest, and because I could not find bands to play.
All right.
I just could not find bands to play.
Yeah. So you had to source them. I mean,
because
why not use South by Southwest?
Agents aren't going to mess with me. No. At that point, I'm just
like you said, we're a D market.
D market. Why?
Young.
Right. Yeah. So how do you find the D lists?
So listen, I went to South by Southwest. I created like the longest and largest unofficial showcase, and a lot of people don't know this, it doesn't even matter, but in Austin, Texas. So I go there for the last 13 years before COVID. I went Austin every single year.
Wow.
I watched that grow. It's crazy. I haven't been there in like 3 or 4 years,
awesome.
But I hear it's crazy. But I started meeting all these agents, and they're like, where are you from? Like
what do you want from us?
What part of LA you're from? Right. I'm like, Springfield, Missouri.
Thank you for thinking that.
Yeah.
But
it's a connecting flight, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let me interject. We got 5 minutes to finish. I know we're gonna have to have Johan back.
There's so much stuff to talk about.
I know we're gonna have to have you back. I think because unfortunately today just didn't work out with your schedule to like really get into it. Oh my
gosh, man, you're coming back for sure.
Yeah, I'm literally just warming up.
No, you are. So South by Southwest. I mean, I go to Austin City Limits every other year or so, and I love Austin. Like Austin's where it's at for music, comedy, all that kind of stuff. So how did you? So you approach these agents, and I just want to know, what did you say to them to get them to bring one of their bands here
at South by?
Yeah.
So at South,
I mean,
have they even come here yet?
So at Southwest, So I found this spot. I was like, we just went down there and looked. We found this small spot. It was like we did it. The first year we just went there to check it out. The next year we did it, and it was insane. Like Drew Barrymore came, Lance Armstrong came. It was insane. Like our party was the coolest party because we were unofficial, and no one was doing unofficial stuff because they blacklisted you, which I found out like 5 years later. You don't want to get blacklisted by South by Southwest because they're the Walmart of the music industry.
Good to know.
Literally, we had a full show. Fast forward, we had a full show booked because our thing was so you book all these artists. If you've ever been to South by Southwest, you book thousands and thousands of artists, and they play the lamest shows.
Right.
Literally. Like,
just anywhere,
there's so many of them.
Yeah,
there's
tons.
So
it's almost like Queen City Shout in Austin, though, and it's all over the place.
Yeah. So it's like they come from Europe. They come from all these bands that I know. They come from Europe. They come from all over the world and play like 2 or 3 lame-ass shows. And then they're not happy.
Right.
So where we came in, we're like, yo, we're going to make this the coolest shit you played. So we would go find these bands, and we're like, yo, you're tight, come play our show. Mm-hmm. And
so you were curating it, basically.
We created the cool. It was called Lose Control. It was the coolest South by Southwest unofficial showcase, and it was all from Springfield, Missouri. We just went down there, brought all our equipment, all our music equipment.
Wow.
And that is how I got linked up with all these agents and all these people. Like they would come meet me. They wanted their artists to play. We had K-Swiss. We launched Tinder. We launched.
Really?
Yeah. We did the Tinder release party. We did the SoundCloud party. Like all these Spotify. We did Spotify's first party. Anyway,
so we need to get Eddie in here. We need to do the same thing here,
dude. Well, so here's our goal.
Get those big names there.
I mean, because our goal is to, we want to not just music but film as well. We're trying to boost all this in the Springfield area because it's desperately needed. Yeah. We need to be up on that list from this DBS because if you really look at the population of Springfield, there's 250,000 inside the city limits, but there's at least another 500,000.
It's about 1 million
within
around the greater
30,
the
45-minute drive of Springfield. Yeah. So you have a ton of people that are always coming to Springfield, but I don't know, maybe that could be part of your pitch to these people. I don't know. But we're starting to get some good venues now, though, too.
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, man. All these little venues popping up, Black Oak Mountain Amphitheater.
What we don't have is a spot like 800 to 1,000 downtown besides the Galois. Galois is just a hard place.
It is.
They have their own thing with Mammoth.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do with Springfield Studio One is I want to branch out, not just have like Black Box, but open up a couple bigger ones.
This is the small venue that is going to turn into a larger one, I have a and with your help. Yeah. It's already a cool space.
Yeah. It's tight.
But it's meant for a certain type of performance. Yeah. But I mean, that's the same thing Jeff Steele's told me too. It's like we need a whole bunch more of these smaller medium-sized spaces, that would make it easier to get these acts in here.
It's hard
because you get 1,100 people in the Galois, but it still seems like a lot more when you're in there. But I lived in St. Louis and my mom's from there, but you've got 17, 18 different theaters or so you can go to that seat 5,000 or so.
Easy.
Yeah,
but you're still getting A and B list people that are coming through there.
We don't really have that here,
and we don't have it, but we are starting to get some good traction. I think personally,
I agree.
Gary Clark Jr., Primus, and people like that are coming through.
How much does the Shrine fit? I've never actually been inside the Shrine.
5,000 maybe, 2,000.
You want to know something? Want to hear something crazy?
Yeah. That'll be like the last thing we can talk about, but
This is great. The Shrine Moss has never had HVAC system.
Yeah.
What?
It's hot in that son of a bitch.
That is crazy.
Ever. How do you have a venue and not have?
I was gonna say
HVAC.
How many people? Well,
it's stagnant in that place.
Does it fit? How many people does it fit?
3,000.
Yeah, because it's got the seats all the way around. Dude,
2,700.
Every time I've been there, you leave and you're just sweating.
That's why there's not that many shows in the.
And I'm sure an AC system.
Summer.
Right.
Yeah, to install an AC system, there would probably be tens, 50, $100,000 of dollars. I mean, that's
maybe
that's
half
crazy.
a mil, because it's a big venue. The acoustics aren't the best though, from what I've ever seen. But I was there last year and saw Modest Mouse play, and it was amazing.
Sick.
Right. So to me, seeing some of these bands coming through, we want you to come back, Johan,
I'll come
because
back.
we need to digest this.
There's a lot.
Because
I don't talk about it a lot because it's just.
There's a lot.
We're trying to bring musicians on here too, so I mean, this is a great connection. You can come and talk about things, and
we want to try to boost Springfield because maybe this inspires somebody to come out with something.
Shout out to Funky Fresh doing the KDRU, not podcast, but really helping the local music scene.
Yeah,
KDRU Funky Fresh on Instagram.
Okay,
she's
go check it out.
She's really pioneering the local music industry and really pushing it. Like
we've got to have you guys both on. It's probably what we should do.
She's super incredible.
Because to me, this is like, I'm a huge music fan, if you couldn't tell, and I've gone all over the place to watch shows and stuff. But I want Springfield to start getting some good acts that. But it's hard because who knows who they are,
It's
though.
hard.
Not a lot of people know who they are.
By the time you find out who's hot, they're too big for Springfield.
Yeah. Good luck getting them unless it's just a byproduct of their tour.
Yeah.
I find a lot. They're like, oh, we're going
like we
through
had Weird Al here.
Weird Al loves here, though.
But he loves being here, but it's like it's just like a one performance thing as he's passing through.
Right,
but
it's wild.
But he ended up staying here and being in Nick Sibley's studio, doing some voiceover stuff. The guy right next door in Momax, which Nick. He fixed his Mac when he was here in town because he spilled some water on it or something that, and he needed to get it fixed, and he did it here in Springfield. From what I've heard, he loves Springfield based on what the Galois told us. But Johan, man, this goes by way too fast, dude.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, let's have you back. Let's schedule another time to come back. We need to go to the Outland too.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool shit coming up.
We want to know what's going on over at the Outland. So be our voice for that, man.
Yeah.
The Springfield music scene needs you, and I applaud you for everything you've done. It's not an easy job what you're doing the last 20 years.
The last 2 years has been more stressful than the last 20.
I
Since COVID, I can imagine. But you know what? This is something
another episode.
Yeah, dude, and let's do that. Let's make it an episode.
A pandemic episode. We could talk about all the things that we went through in the last 2 years. I
can only imagine, dude.
You can only have 25% in your building. Good luck surviving.
Oh my God!
Okay, that's another story, man.
Let's do it, man.
Another day. Yep.
Thank you so much. Everybody else, keep exploring the Ozarks.
Oh, I'm on film.
Yeah, you are.
Well, what's up?
There you go. Choosing your home loan is one of the largest financial decisions you'll make in your lifetime. And with many different kinds of mortgages available, there are lots of choices out there. I'm Matt Graham, and I will help you find a mortgage loan that fits your lifestyle and spending habits so you can shop with confidence. My passion is helping people find the homes that they love. I will find the best way to get you that loan, working all the angles and finding what will work for you. Because I know transactions happen at all times of day and night, you can always reach me at 417-209-8532 or matt.graham@centralbank.net.
Springfield Studio One is proud to host Focus on the Five podcast and many other productions here in Springfield, Missouri. Do you need a place to rent for video productions, photo shoots, and everything in between? Contact us today and we will provide the perfect space for what your project or event needs. Reach us at 417-739-0777, springfieldstudio1.com.
All right, so we're back from the break, and
we lied.
We're talking.
We're not ending. We're coming back.
We're still here with Johan Collins. Well, we have a lot to talk about, and this is a big talking point. And
it kind of, our other appointment fell through.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately, had to change it last minute.
They'll be back, but I think.
And Johan was like, "Hey, I'm still here." And we're like, "Okay, cool."
Hey, if we're gonna have your time, let's do it.
We just kept talking
because we're talking about. Let's keep talking.
On air, whatever.
This is like an hour later. We've already been like off air for an hour.
Right. But we talked about how South by Southwest, which if you don't know what South by Southwest is, it's a music festival in many different venues, but they're all, what would you say as far as your A, B, C, D list? We're talking D list on up to A's pretty much, right?
Yeah, just everything.
The whole gamut of things. But it is in Austin, Texas, too.
It's crazy.
Austin's the music scene, the comedy scene,
it's
everything's
like becoming
moving.
the new art capital.
Well, Tesla's there now, too, and everything.
Not in Austin.
Not Austin.
Apple.
Texas.
Apple is.
There's a lot of companies moving there right now.
Absolutely.
And they're all building like cities around these places they're going into.
Tesla is there. You're right.
I was going to say, you're right. It is.
Yeah,
I actually passed by there on my way back from SpaceX down in Boca Chica.
It's about to get bigger too because they just took on a contract for doing all of the batteries.
Yeah, when I was
most
there,
car manufacturers.
I was looking at it. They have a whole big new section being built just for the batteries.
So he's building.
The Giga Texas is huge.
Well, so Elon's such a smart dude. So he also owns
the people at Tesla are very smart
company
people.
That's like investing in the building products because they're basically building a city around this manufacturing facility.
It's basically vertical integration.
Yeah.
So he's trying to own everything from mining the material all the way up to that building the car.
See, that is, this is
smart.
It is.
And it's what we need. So, okay, we're going to sidetrack from music for a second.
We're going to nerd out for a second.
That is very smart because China right now owns most of the lithium mines in the world. They do all the refining. They have most of the mining. America needs to catch up to that. So we have a whole bunch of lithium that we can mine here, but we don't have the processing plant. So they're actually trying to build one in Texas right now. I think they just passed that near Austin.
Yeah.
So we can actually refine lithium and then start producing our own batteries here domestically as opposed to depending on China, which was really, it screwed up a lot of things. One, chips.
Yeah.
So apparently, computer chips are mainly made in Taiwan. That's like 90% of things. But with all the pandemic stuff, it really cut off our supply.
Okay.
So two things. One is lithium production, and then two is chips. They're trying to start doing more of that stuff here in the United States.
Good. They need to.
Which is good. Well, and that's all part of the plan.
There's so many things that go into a phone that, you talk about cobalt.
Yeah.
Right? Cobalt mines are in Africa, and they have like women and children in there digging with their hands to pull out cobalt, right? But we have to have so many ounces of it in every phone.
So vertical integration is a good thing. So we can hopefully you can also help those countries and get their environments better. But two, for America, it's good to get that production back here.
Yeah.
But three, vertical integration of music here in Springfield. See, I'm doing that. I'm doing it.
I knew you were going there.
So if we have a lot of people that start here, but there has to be a way to get them from start to becoming bigger names, but still want to be here to actually perform locally, and not just out of pity. And I'm not to say pity, but nostalgia.
Well, it's tough once you get into the music industry or the movie industry or whatnot. You kind of have to be in certain locations to be able to do what you need to do. It used to
be that way. Well, for the film, I know music, I'm not sure how that is, but film you can produce a lot of things. Corey Case is talking about it. He's like, I actually get more jobs here than I would in Hollywood just because people need actors around here.
And they're not Hollywood movies, so to speak.
Right.
They're
indie films.
So it's almost like that's the music scene in Springfield, though, it's all these underground bands. But we talked about during the break, though, is like last year when I went to go see Heartless Bastards at the Outland, which was maybe 6-7 months ago even, fall. And it was maybe 80 people to 100 there. And they're an international selling band, and they sound so epic live.
Yeah,
it's this little blonde chick that's the lead singer. She's killing this guitar. I mean, there's so many good bands that I've seen come through here over the years. Like I said, my first experience was Incubus before they got really big. And now they still come back to Springfield, actually, when they go through Drury, the O'Reilly Center, and stuff like that. But that's kind of a rare occasion for that to kind of happen. But they've got an attachment to Springfield. Yeah. That's what we hope.
When I was talking, I keep referencing Weird Al because it's the only experience I really have. But, I mean, he should play to, 30,000-40,000 people?
Probably.
And
festivals.
He's here at the Galois playing to 1,000 people. It's
right. But he loved it,
He did.
And that's what's great about Springfield is I think a lot of bands that do come through here go, wow, wait, hold on. That's a good room at the Galois or the Outland.
Yeah.
I know when Andy Frasco and the UN come through town, they should pack that Outland out.
Oh, yes.
And they do throw a big party while they're playing. It's pretty much a big party. But
the Outland only holds so much though too. And
how many does it hold?
Like 350, 400.
Really? I would
and
not
that's
have
packing
expected
it,
that.
I mean, the bar takes up half
more
the
or less.
room.
I thought less, but I've only been in there one time, so that was briefly. I was going through.
Only been there one time.
I don't really go to a lot of music stuff. That's
why I've been music. Podcast?
I've been strict. No, this
that's
is
why he's got me. He's got me.
Yeah, I'm more about
through me.
What's happening.
That's pretty much what's happening here. Yeah,
I
make all the video stuff happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but
stay home and nerd out.
Well,
there we go. That's usually what happens. Is I have a really varied music list. I just haven't had a chance to go to a lot of live stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've started to want to go to more of these recently, just so I can have the experience of live, because that's totally different from being at home.
It's a complete different thing.
Live music's it's like I don't know, it's a journey you go on every single set, you know, every single time. And I go to, we go to music festivals like Austin City Limits where you're seeing nothing but A-list people for an entire day. We only go for one day. I can't do 3 days.
No.
But what's cool about the Austin scene is the fact that, you see people there with their kids even.
That's great.
Because it is a good environment. It's not
great.
just a bunch of people like you'd think smoking weed and doing drugs and all that kind of stuff. It rarely happens. Anymore, you hardly even see that kind of stuff
Woodstock.
anymore. It's not. But Woodstock, we all learned a lot. My wife was at Woodstock '99 when the shit show occurred.
I was going to say,
your wife was
my wife was there. That was her graduation gift from her mom.
Whoa!
And I was like, does your mom know what Woodstock is? And it was a whole thing.
You need to go out there and see the world.
Right, she did. Boy, my God, she saw a lot going on that
Where
weekend.
is Woodstock? Is
it's in New York.
It's in okay.
Yeah, so it's in a field out in the middle of nowhere.
I knew
New
that
York,
part.
yeah.
Yeah, the middle of nowhere.
But it's one of those things too.
wild.
With Springfield though, they used to have some pretty decent size events. Like Channel Z used to have their Z Fest
downtown, right on what was that on? Right by the.
Was that on East Chestnut?
Was it on Campbell?
Mm.
Well,
was a Holiday?
Zombie was there. Rob
Zombie was there.
Do we ever get any big performers at like the Ozark Empire Fair?
No,
it's just mid.
Yeah, those are more like Christian type bands and stuff like that, which is fine. They get a lot of people to go to.
I was going to say the stadium seating there must be a lot of people.
It's a lot.
They had Yin Yang Twins last year.
Oh shit!
And the dude passed out and it was on TMZ.
Oh gosh! Oh gosh!
And
they're rebuilding the fairgrounds too. So
and then he was supposed to play my spot because I'm friends with their manager. And so only one of them can play. So he only had Yang.
We
didn't have Yang.
The rest you can just pipe in, right?
Yeah,
you just play it.
whatever.
Let the DJ do his thing.
Yeah,
that
happened last year.
Oh gosh,
that's
he was
so
many stories.
He was like, Johan. He's like, I don't know how to tell you. I know you paid the full price. He's like, but you're only gonna get one. One of them passed out. He's like, it's on TMZ. And I looked. I'm like, oh god, like he literally like.
Oh no! On stage?
Yeah, at the Ozark Empire.
I didn't see that.
Insane. Google it. Look it up.
What happened?
So
he was just partying too hard.
Okay.
Not that day, but
the day before.
When you're on tour, if you think being on tour
exhausting.
and you get older, it's not like when you're 20 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
But you still act like you are.
You act like you're 20 and you're like not sleeping and you're not eating right.
Catches up to you.
That really
man.
gets you.
And then you definitely don't want him going on stage.
And you don't drink water.
You don't drink water. You don't take care of yourself.
Dude passed out.
This is the stories I wanted to hear right here, though, because you know what I mean? Like, he's like, it's Springfield. I'll just party the night before. I'll be fine.
Actually,
and he passes out on stage.
You must have some crazy stories with the the Outland as well.
I once so this is legendary. So I booked DMX.
Oh my gosh.
DMX played at the complex, which used to be the Regency.
Yeah.
It was called the Complex, and before he went on the show, he was like, "We need to have a prayer circle."
Wow.
And so I'm like,
"Oh yeah,
that's cool." So I'm like holding hands with DMX with like 5 other people saying prayers, and my camera guy's there, and he stops the prayer. He's like, "Don't film that girl," and I was like. My camera guy's like trying to film it and like really get the whole.
Dude, like, that's a good moment.
Just make sure not to put that girl in there. He has a bottle of Hennessy in his hand, and this girl wasn't his wife, and she was in the prayer circle.
Oh gosh!
And so I was like, all right, you heard what DMX said because he talks exactly like that.
Oh yeah, and when he says that, you probably should just
it's DMX. You gotta listen to him.
And it's DMX. So was that? You said that was at the Outland?
That was his last
or at
tour.
the Complex.
It was his 20th. It's hot and what is it? Hell is hot.
Oh gosh, man,
Jeez.
That's a big deal.
That was his last. That was his last tour.
And then, so just a side note, what was the building that was down off of Park Central Square that was here recently? It was a pretty good little venue. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the Blue Bull, and then it was them, and then you would get on down to like
Complex.
Big Whiskey's, the Complex. That's what
that
that
was
one
the Regency.
Okay, so
Icon.
that was the Complex. Icon. Oh God, yeah. Which was a dance club for a long time.
Checkered floors.
Yeah, dude.
Drum show. Let's go.
The drum show was great, though, dude. They did a good job with that place. But
I'm just gonna nod my head and go, yeah.
But that
was unique.
It was a good venue, though.
That was a unique thing.
It sounds cool.
They used to have like they kind of ripped off the Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
And they had like water coming out of these things.
Dude.
It was cool.
And they
sounds
did
really cool.
Every Friday
job.
and Saturday.
You know, honestly, there for a while, that was when I would show up to that, because all of my friends would go downtown, and I don't dance. I don't go to dance clubs and all that, but I would show up for that.
It's cool.
Just to meet them, and I'd be like, well, as long as I can, watch
that.
that for a little bit, because it was a 5-10 minute deal.
Stop at the Bachelor's. The trial. Get a drink with the
really...
Bachelor. Hello, I'm the Bachelor.
Oh my God! Yeah, I
started reality TV.
So do we have anything like
stories about that one?
That group?
No,
Blue
man.
That was I know Paul.
Yeah,
that's the only one I know in there.
Well,
I haven't seen.
I mean, what is the music? I mean, what is the music entertainment scene like that around here? Like
now, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Now,
just because COVID killed it.
No, before that, way before that.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we were going to talk about after your South by Southwest experience, and we can talk for a while about this. What was it like after that? I mean, how long ago was that stopped?
2 years before COVID.
2 years. That was pretty recent.
18.
Then. Wow.
Yeah, we started at 12. We did 12 years straight.
Dang, man.
We did every single year. That was my vacation every year.
That's crazy. That's your vacation.
A fun vacation.
Work, I would take off and go to work.
Wow.
And I would make, whatever. I'd make the money that I would lose throwing shows in Springfield. I'd make it on one day.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine. Yeah.
Like actually, I mean, like I said, we launched we did Spotify, we did Tinder, we did K-Swiss's 50th anniversary.
Wow.
We did.
You're making money hand over fist.
Making crazy money because all these people have all this money.
Yeah,
Unlike
they're just throwing it at you.
Sponsors, like big sponsors, I mean, they give you like $150,000 just to be a sponsor and make a cool thing. And it's a tax write-off for these guys.
Right, and all you're doing is just announcing it.
And they just want because Austin launched what you call it. Is it Uber or Lyft? Lyft. Austin launched Lyft.
Wow.
And there's a lot of things that they launched. And so South by Southwest, they use that
as a
platform as
as a
not so much anymore.
Right. But when it first came out, it started getting momentum. It started getting on TV. It started to be a huge festival.
But it sounds like it was about 2018. You said it's about when the music scene around here started dying off.
Yeah, it just kind of, I don't know.
Is there signs of life? Is it coming back?
I look at Springfield like a giant Greyhound bus station.
Dude,
everybody's trying to get out. Like actually, either you have
we
kids
get
here.
that in the filmmaking side too. It's like it's creative brain drain is what it is. Everybody's like, I need to go somewhere else to make it.
Either you have kids here, or
in your life is here,
or you're out. Like just the thing. I have kids here, so I'm still here. You know, and it's just one of those things. Like it takes me 4 years to find the cool people from the college. By that time, 4 years, they're gone.
Yeah. And then it's hard to keep that legacy going, Yep. And that's what's big, though. You said before, though, was, the house party thing. Because, number one, that's about the only place we had to go is house parties, or like Sigma Nu at Drury and stuff like that, where they would throw these massive parties, right? But then they started getting policed a lot more, too, and they had to move their houses and all that kind of stuff because of us. Really was our problem. Sorry about that, man. Sorry, Ryan Burlew. But that's the biggest thing with JQH, and that's why they get decent bands that come in. But to me, if I'm an artist and I start to see that these bands come through here and they're selling out shows, I would kind of go, well, maybe this could be as a little supplement. But then you start getting into the record industry in general. Is tough because they have a set of where they need you to go to make the most money. Yeah. It's not like you can just be like, I want to go to Springfield because it's a good little town, and I could probably sell out there, which in general they probably wouldn't, which is the sad part.
Facts.
So what is going on in Springfield? Why can't we, as a society of Springfield, everybody, we need to open our minds to better
some
bands.
of that too is just the investment part of it, where in order to bring these big bands in, this is just me.
You gotta have a big budget.
Based off of what I know from the film industry too, is like you have to have that initial negative investment where it's like I'd put $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 into making these venues really nice.
Yeah.
But then of course you have to pay to bring them people in.
Well, like Black Oak Mountain
you have
Amphitheater.
to build up the audience that actually knows these are going to come in regularly before they start spending the money.
Well, you start looking at if you go to the Black Oak Mountain Amphitheater website and you start to see the lineup that they have. I mean, you had Nelly, you had
it's just like mid.
Yeah. Well, they're like from late 90s, mid 2000s that
that's
they
cool.
haven't made an album lately, but they still you could still go in there and have a good time listening to them,
I feel like I took your answer spot there though, when I shouldn't have, because you're the one that knows the music scene.
Oh no, you're cool, man. I'm just listening. I like to listen.
Well, I mean, as far as like you see that, and that gives me hope. Is kind of where I was headed. Is there's some decent people coming through there, and a lot of people going to the shows. That's Den and Lampy. So
what do you call what
across the lake?
Like I guess here's the definition. What do you call decent? Like
Nelly
from St. Louis,
right?
Journey. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like it's not like
Journey did well in Springfield, I think. Actually, everybody went to that show. I think
it's not like now. It's not like the youth. And what happens whenever all that stuff goes away?
Right.
We have Kid Leroy that that's playing at the John QH, I think. Mm-hmm. It's playing at John QH, and it's almost sold out.
Yeah.
That's a 14,000 cap room.
14,000.
And that's pretty incredible.
It is.
Know? So that's we don't usually get those kind of shows.
No, but that's what gives me hope. Like I said, I mean, back when we were growing up, I mean, I'm 42, but you talk about Icon, you talk about Regency when Snoop Dogg was there and stuff. But back then that kind of stuff was huge for Springfield. Yeah. When I saw Incubus, nobody even knew who it was. And everybody thought I was crazy and stupid for going and seeing this underground band. And I'm like, guys, they're going to be big.
Yeah, they're huge.
Within 3 or 4 years, they were selling out arenas and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do have some little sprinkles of good bands that come through.
I mean, if you look at what's her name, Chappelle Rona, and then James Wesley.
Yeah.
Those two people, they were both from Springfield. And now they're blowing up.
I didn't realize that.
And crazy.
Oh, wow.
Jake Wesley Rogers is from Ozark.
So how do you get somebody like that to come back and sell some tickets?
I mean, he just came back, and they both sold out the Galois. They bypassed the Outland because it's the
smaller venue
get too big.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where your bottleneck is.
So there's hope. There's hope. There's hope for people that start off with playing music in Springfield.
Daredevils are making a comeback.
Well, and as our population gets bigger around here too, it becomes easier. And as you get people from like California, people that have jobs outside the area, because that may be when you have a lower medium income, it's hard to pay for those kind of tickets. Yeah. It's hard to have those extra things. But I feel like the medium income's going up. Around here too.
But it is. But Outland don't charge much.
Man, I took my lady and kids to the movie theater. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cost me like $175 after
crazy.
We ate. Are you kidding me? You can't spend $20 for a ticket?
Right.
You ain't gonna see the show again.
No.
It ain't like you can watch it on freaking YouTube and it's like freaking 4 years.
It's a live show.
Well, see, that's what I'm sitting there watching the Heartless Bastards, and I'm literally 20 feet from them, and I'm like, I shouldn't be this close to this band.
It's such an intimate, like the Outland. So going back to the Outland, because that's really all I care about.
Yeah.
No. All the other venues are cool.
And of course, you got to tell us about the moon and stuff too. Yeah. Once you get through this story.
So I really look at that space as like a church, and you can call it sacrilegious all you want.
No.
I really don't care.
No.
But I look at it as a church. I look at it as you go there, you kind of leave your problems at the door, just like a church.
It's an escape.
And you walk in, and then you leave them at the door, and then you have
an experience.
Go into that world,
and
then when you leave, you go right back into your problems.
Right,
that's fine.
But you always take that with you.
But when you're there, those problems don't even exist.
Yeah.
And you can see it in people's faces.
100%.
And so Springfield without the Outland and the Odyssey is a town I don't want to live in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest.
I
And it's
agree.
not because I do a lot of work there. It's just because all the other venues are cool, but none of them are the Outland.
You're like the monk of the Church of Outland.
I am.
I love that.
I'm like the monk. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And so
it is.
It's every show I do is a gamble.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
I lose more than I win. 1,000%.
You need to be a nonprofit.
How can I be a nonprofit?
Let's talk to Jeff.
Be a nonprofit? Jeff, hook me up, bro. Give me the keynote.
Give me the 501, man.
Give me the cliff notes of how to be a nonprofit, because God bless it.
First thing you do is you go to the state of Missouri's website.
Register
as a
that
nonprofit.
thing.
Anyway,
and then we got to get donors.
I need to be a nonprofit.
Yeah, let's do that.
The
Let's figure out a
Outland is
way.
a nonprofit.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it.
I mean, we're talking about all the investment that go into it. I mean, that's how the Galois survives, is by all the nonprofit. And
they've got
supporting them.
They've got a fund, I think, don't they?
They have an endowment, they've built that up over the years because people value that the Galois being there, and they value that kind of having that kind of access.
Yeah.
So I mean, we say this kind of tongue in cheek, but I think that you could honestly do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the groundswell that there was to make sure the Outland didn't close down. I mean, that was
actually a really cool event to watch, man.
It actually tells us about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How did the Outland go from open to being on the verge of permanently closing, without going into the details that we
it was pretty nuts.
Somewhat
we had like 2 days to find a backer and investor, or it would have been the two hotties with a mechanical bull, a sports bar, a titty bar, and everything that I'd never want to be around. And that would have been the end of my 20 years, and I probably went to jail for burning the place down. So I had to make a decision and not even tell anyone, and just find someone to do it.
Well, at least you found somebody.
We found someone to do it, and it's going well. Okay. It's been super stressful, but I think we're on the right path to, longevity and just getting back to where we want it.
You have to rebuild it.
It looks super nice. We rebranded the front of house, which I really think that might be the worst name for a venue ever. But that's a whole nother.
The Odyssey?
No. Front of house.
Oh, front of house. Gosh. Like literally front of house.
But it was never the front of house. So everyone was like, yo, where do I go? Front of house. What do you mean? Like,
is there a sign?
Because front of house is like in a venue, you know?
Oh, like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's the front of the house.
What are you talking about? Like, where do I go?
I'm standing in the front of the house. Yeah.
I'm in the front of the house. No, downstairs front of house.
Right.
What?
Okay.
Springfield, you're weird.
Yeah.
That's really what.
So Austin's got keep Austin weird. We could just say Springfield, make
Stay
it weird.
You're strange.
You're strange. You're weird.
You're strange. Springfield's strange, bro. Like,
so that's another
Stranger
venue
Things
then,
in
basically,
Springfield.
is the front of the room.
The upside down.
Okay.
Every day I wake up, I'm in the upside down in Springfield, Missouri.
You know, it is such a conundrum
wild.
we live in, because to me, you go to some shows and they sell out and it does well, and like I said earlier, you see some other bands where you're just like, why is no one even here right now?
Yeah.
It's
when people should know who they are if you're up on your music, you know.
It's a weird thing, and COVID shifted to a lot of things where people artists that we used to book would sell out.
Yeah.
And now they don't even do half of that.
Wow.
And so it's hard to go back to the agent and like, hey, this is. You know, they're like, this is the numbers.
You're like, I know this happened. I'm sorry, but
they're like, you sold us. This is a 400 person band now. Wow. I'm like, no, it's not. This is like quarter of that.
Wow.
You know, and so it's been interesting, that transformation.
Right.
Of, you know, COVID just shifted everything. I mean, if you just look at if you go and look at a band, listen, do as your homework. Go and look at a band 5 years ago, and look at their tour poster.
Yeah.
And research how many of those venues are a thing.
Yeah.
You would be mind blown of how many of those venues are not even a thing anymore.
I could see that.
So it's a flippin' miracle that the Outland is even still a venue in Springfield,
that's true.
Missouri.
Well, when did all this go down with the switch?
Because look, we didn't get any financial helping, because whenever
wasn't there like a GoFundMe or
whenever
something?
we took it over, we didn't get the PP loans because we didn't have a tax return from 2019.
Oh yeah.
So
and
we
those
didn't get any
PPPs are
help.
dependent on the past couple of years.
man.
Yeah.
So Kevin Dunn's been really manning it up and really coming up with it and making it happen.
Gosh.
And so
he's the new owner?
yeah, Kevin Dunn's new
Shout
owner.
out to Kevin Dunn.
Like, actually. So it's really a miracle that place is even a thing. So people need to support it.
They do. Well, so what kind of bands do you have coming up?
And we got Nick Shoulders. We got, there's so many. We got Nick Shoulders. We got Matt Heckler. We got Big Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. We got, just go to the website.
All right.
Outland Complex. There's just a whole entire, lot of rap, a lot of EDM, a lot of just all kinds
Which
of
is
stuff.
a whole other music genre I'm not into, but a lot of people are. There's EDM fests everywhere.
It's what really, honestly and truthfully, it's what really saved the space.
Wow.
It really is.
Good.
Whenever COVID happened, and
you could have, 25% of the people there?
Yes, and then
which is a killer anyways. Why would you even play at that point?
Then they lifted it, and we could open back up. All the people that went to the Outland were like, we're not coming out, because those are the ones that are really like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not trying to get
not
political
progressive
or anything or whatever.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But like, those are the ones that like believed in it. Really.
Yeah.
And so they didn't come out. So our all the people that donated, they weren't coming out because they're like, we're not ready to come out. And I probably wouldn't have been ready to come out if I wasn't trying to save a venue.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we just kind of like found like what. One day I went downtown. I was like, what's happening? How is this happening? And all the college kids are out. Like, it never happened.
Wow.
I was like, well,
okay,
that's what we got to do. Shift to that.
Yeah,
so we did EDM.
What are they listening to
EDM
then?
and rap. And that's really what saved that space.
That's cool. Hey, lots of
adapt.
Lots of rap though that can come through here. A lot of underground people. Tech Nine.
Yeah.
Hell, Tech Nine wouldn't be probably who he is without Springfield. I would imagine.
True. Yeah.
He's got a huge following.
Big time.
But I always remember his van showing up with his crazy ass hair on the side of it and stuff, and he would hang out with people though.
He's
he would get to know people, and he would sell his own records out of the back of his van, and he would do pretty well with it actually.
Nice.
But now look at him; he's working with big artists, and he's getting shout outs from Lil Wayne and being on Lil Wayne his albums and stuff. Like, it's nuts. But
we're at the time
again.
We're at the time again. Yeah, it just keeps on going by so fast.
But
we're at 50+ minutes right now.
Well, we still have a lot to unpack with
you're still going to come back.
The Springfield music scene is something that obviously I've said it before on this show, but we really want to try to champion this for not just you, but for everybody involved. It is like I said, it's good to see these sprinkles of good bands coming through.
Yeah.
You're like the warrior monk of the Outland Ballroom, and you've done some really cool stuff with that place. So just to go back to the Moon that we talked about earlier. So Bob Noble is a personal friend of mine, and he was on another podcast I'm on with Focus on the Five with Ken Coleman. Shout out to Ken Coleman. Bob is a genius. His son is also one of the best artists I think I've ever seen in my life. I didn't realize his catalog was that big, but when it comes to,
he's insane.
He had something. What did he do for the Outland? What was that?
He was just in town because of the pandemic, and he just hit me up. He's like, "Yo, what's going on? What you guys got going on?" I was like, "I need a logo." So he did the logo.
Okay.
He did the Odyssey logo, and he didn't even know what Pokemon was, but it kind of looks like a Pokemon. He had no clue. He's like,
he had no clue.
Like, they didn't invent the circle. He's like, that's what Brad says.
Fair enough.
They did not invent this. I'm like, yep, you're right.
Yeah, He's been stuck in his artist den for the last 25 years.
He's like, I was like, bro, everyone's saying let's get Pokemon. Have you ever seen the Outland, the new logo?
No, man, no. And the Odyssey's the old. That's the old High Life. Correct?
Yeah,
downstairs.
We'll pull the logo up, put it on the
bar.
screen.
It's the downstairs. Podcast. It's where everybody kind of goes first till the band starts to come on or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a cool spot too.
Like this is.
I see a lot of cool posters up in the windows.
That's the 3 logo.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, very cool.
It looks like Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it does actually.
It does.
1,000%. If you know.
If you know anything about Pokemon.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And he's like, they didn't invent a circle. I'm like, you're right. We're going with it, Brad. You're right.
Just do whatever you do, Brad.
You're right. They're wrong.
As long as they connect to it, possibly, that's a good thing, though. That's the genius of those two.
All the college kids will be like, oh, Pokemon. No, wait. It's abandoned.
Yeah. Well,
it's a venue.
I mean, for him not knowing what it was, he used it pretty well.
And honestly and truthfully, whenever we did that Moon, we were talking about doing a mural.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I kind of want it to light up. I kind of want it to.
It looks really cool.
And it was that was the first 3D mural that he's done like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we kind of I helped him. I worked with him. I kind of was like, yeah, maybe we could do this. And he's like, yeah, we could do this. And we had to
Interesting.
It was so big, we had to put it in half because it wouldn't come through the door.
Oh gosh,
it's huge. It's massive. It's a Brad.
No one measured the door, did they?
It's easily as tall as this wall right here.
It's a Brad Noble piece.
And there's if you look at it, there's hidden faces that he There's some hidden faces.
And then it's backlit. I mean, because it's away from the wall, so they put LED lights on the back.
We got to come see it.
Brad Noble's the G.
Cool. Brad Noble's amazing.
And he, just to have his support. It's just incredible just to have him on our team for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's keep this going. Let's keep you coming back, and let's talk about some bands. If you got a big show you want to promote or something, definitely give us a shout and let us know. We'll put you on, man.
Sounds good, guys.
Johan Collins with the Outland Ballroom, but more importantly, a local music promoter. And that's something we desperately need. So thank you for everything you do. And let's keep on exploring what you guys have to offer. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for giving us a platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a while since I said any of those stories. So maybe none ever, actually. So that was cool.
Well, be thinking of some more because we need some more content too.
There's so many.
But everybody else, keep exploring the Ozarks.
R.I.P. DMX.
Thanks again for listening to Exploring the Ozarks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels to help us keep exploring the stories of the Ozarks. If you're looking for more ways to support our show, we have sponsorships for businesses and Patreon for individual supporters. Check the links in the description for more details. Thanks for your support, and keep exploring the Ozarks.